A thriving photography studio, the encouraging story of a New Jersey man who faces all odds, and eclectic people of New York City. Inspiring stories, up next on Carpe Diem.
The following program is a production of the Advanced Television Production students at Montclair State University. And now, here's your host, Bianca Morales.
Thanks for joining me today on Carpe Diem. Photos by Ginny first began in a garage. On today's show, we'll see just what it took for this photography studio to triumph failure and bloom into a thriving business. Later, how often is it that you stop along the streets of New York City to talk to someone? The stories untold echo throughout the city. We'll reveal some of our favorite ones. Today, next up, a special spotlight on Michael Turkanian. A local New Jersey man is a true inspiration to others as he goes against all odds to reach his goals. Ella Wheeler Wilcox once said, "There is no chance, no destiny, no fate that can hinder or control the firm resolve of a determined soul. The struggle you're in today is helping you develop the strength you need for tomorrow." Let's take a look at this heartwarming story of how love, family, and a positive attitude are the keys to his success.
Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Turk. Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Turk. Hello everybody, my name is still Mr. Turk.
Known as Mr. Turk to some, he's known as Michael Turkanian to most. This 24-year-old New Jersey native has grown from a young child into a successful chemical engineer, overcoming many obstacles along the way. Today we are taking a look at his journey, past, present, and future. Spotlight on Michael Turkanian.
We had a real tough time, him coming into the world, and he was in critical care for the first 12 hours. And it was a little upsetting, but he was just so awesome. We had to have CPR in order to leave the hospital with him, infant CPR, because he came home with an apnea monitor.
He was always a happy kid. All you had to do was put some food in his mouth, make sure he was clean, and he was a very happy boy. Now we noticed that he was sitting way off to the side when he was watching TV. We asked him what was wrong, and he said that he can't see over here. So we made our own eye test. We made the big E and made smaller letters, and he couldn't even, with that eye, couldn't even see the big E. Almost no vision in that eye. So we had to go through the whole process of wearing a patch on his good eye and letting the bad eye work.
Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease where your body's antibodies start to attack certain parts of your brain. So what transpired in me was a loss in vision or double vision, dizziness, that kind of thing.
His senior year in high school, when he went down to Florida and he was on the rides, he noticed that he was dizzy, and long story short, we wind up going and getting his eyes checked, thinking it was his new glasses, and he was diagnosed with MS.
I think any kind of inconvenience or hardship that you go through, you're gonna have kind of that self-pity a little bit. And really, for me, it's just, I really don't feel like taking my shot.
With medication, he's perfect human being right now, and he's always had a very positive outlook.
In the grand scheme of things, like, you know, once you kind of are in that place, I take a step back and I'm like, okay, all I have to do is take a shot. And that's it. I don't have to worry about things down the line. I can still walk down the stairs. I can still do everything that I love to do, all the hobbies. So I just have to really remember that I'm very fortunate, and that makes it easy. Back in high school, I weighed almost 300 pounds. I don't know what it was. I've always loved to eat, but I don't know really what the cause of it was. I don't even know if there really has to be a cause. So I changed, and over the course of, I guess it was the junior year summer and into summer community college, I lost over 100 pounds. You know, I still try to keep physical activity a part of my lifestyle. Danielle, I met Danielle when I was 7, in 2nd grade. And it's funny, we actually have a soccer picture of us when we were both in 2nd grade. That's kind of bizarre. But yeah, I've known her. She's been my best girl who was a friend for, how old am I now? It's like 18 years. Kind of crazy to think about. But well, we were friends all through middle school and high school, and there's obviously a little bit of a disconnect that comes with college just because of the distances and people go places, but we never really got too far disconnected. And I've been dating her for over 2 years now, and there's a particular question that I'm going to be asking her pretty soon. So it's exciting, and she's great. I couldn't ask for anything more in a girl. I love her family, I love her, she's perfect.
She's probably the nicest, sweetest person, and the funniest, and the little schemer and everything she is. She's just wonderful.
Danielle teaches like 4th and 5th grade. So I actually took a day off from work and I went into one of the schools where her mom teaches. And I did like a little science demonstration and the kids loved it. It was great. I kind of spun an idea off, which was a YouTube channel. So I do like some science content, and it's the What's Up show. A science informational show, and every week I get questions from Danielle or Danielle's mom's students, and I answer a question that they have based on a topic.
This week, we're checking out how sunglasses work. This week, we're going to be taking a look at physical and chemical changes.
And it's a lot of fun for me to make the videos. It's another hobby, something I have time to do, and the kids absolutely love it. It's something that's really cool, and you have a lot of kids coming up like, wow, science is cool. It's not that kind of nerdy, dorky thing that it might be perceived as. It's really neat and fun.
Trying to get other students interested in science and, motivate them, because when he was in school, there weren't those advantages that he could even know that engineering was out there for him.
Science is something that I'm very passionate about because I don't think kids are really exposed to it at a young enough age. So I think it's important that they realize, hey, this is a viable option for a career. My greatest accomplishment is definitely graduating college with my degree in chemical engineering. I had a job right out of college. I got my job offer back in January or February before I graduated. So by the time May came around and I got my diploma, I already had a job lined up. Well, family is obviously they're the main people who back you. They're your crutch. They make you who you are, and you rely on them for support and vice versa. And my family's great. They've been with me every step of the way. It's hard to put into words because so much of what I do and so much of who I am is a direct result of my family. And I think it's how it should be. That's a great thing. And it's something that you are supposed to pass on when you have a family of your own.
I really feel that, Michael has taken all of his talents, all of his adversities, and has really made the best out of the situation in every way.
But I think his stubbornness and tenacity has been one of his best attributes to growing up and being an adult and becoming what he is.
You hope you always can find the gift in whatever's there for you. And that's what I always wanted from my children, is to find their passion, find their gift, and to see them do that and bring it forth to the world. I couldn't be any more proud.
I feel very successful in my life so far, and I'm proud of that.
Michael Turkanian is a great example of how hard work goes a long way. Hopefully his story inspires others and shows them that nothing is impossible. Approximately 2.7 animals are adopted through shelters each year. Here's one in our community that's making a big difference. We'll be right back after this quick public service announcement. Make a friend for life. Adopt a pet or donate to Mount Pleasant Animal Shelter today. Next up, we profile a thriving photography studio and an award-winning owner that has managed to build and expand her business while competing studios have been forced to close their doors. With the advent of technology, the industry has changed drastically, but Ginny has proved that the right passion and determination, you can keep any business alive. Ginny captures the precious moments of babies and children that family members and friends will cherish forever. Milton Berle once said, "If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door." Let's see just what it takes to open and run a small business and the passion it takes to maintain the success.
My name is Ginny Russell. I own a photography studio in Montville, New Jersey. It's funny because I really wasn't planning on starting a photography business. I just love photography and I was doing a lot of pictures for family and friends. And then just with referrals, and I just started to get busy by word of mouth, and it just kind of happened. But I wasn't looking for it to happen. I've been very lucky with my clientele because I focus on babies, newborns, maternity, children, and it's always happy. We're always happy. I take so many great shots that they really have a hard time deciding on what image to go with. So it's not like I get a lot of slack at that you didn't get this image or you didn't do this. Usually they're overwhelmed with how many great images they have.
Stay right next to him just so he doesn't fall over.
My initial studio was in my garage, and I had one backdrop, and every time I needed to change, everybody have to run to one side of the room, and I'd pull up another backdrop, and it was very time consuming. It wasn't, especially working with babies, I felt like I was always under the gun. So I knew I wanted to get a bigger space. Right around the corner from me was this landscaper's lot that I used to call and ask if I could use during communion time. They had beautiful flowers, and he was always like, "Sure, no problem." And then one day when I was there filming one of my communion kids, I noticed a for lease sign on the building. And I asked him, can I make this a photography studio? What would you charge me? And I was a little appalled at the price. But once I started looking around, that really was a pretty average price. So I was really scared, but I did. I bit the bullet and took over, and that was 6 years ago, and we're still here and still growing and loving every minute of it. One of the biggest challenges I faced when I opened my business is I wasn't really expecting to be as busy as I was. Once I got out of the house, I think my clientele looked at me as I was a little more professional, and it just, word of mouth, I just got so busy that I was actually turning people away, which I didn't want to do, but I was just working 24/7. There was no family life at all. So now I've figured out that I really cannot do more than 10 appointments a week, because just between the editing and the sessions, setting up, cleaning up, 10 appointments a week, I'm working like 60 hours a week. There was a lot of expenses when opening a business that I did not foresee, especially hiring someone to help me. I do need help, especially at the holiday time. I'm so busy, and it's very expensive to hire, and it's not only expensive, but I have a hard time giving up control. I control every bit of my art, and I don't want anyone else kind of messing with it. The first year when I did my income tax return with my accountant is when I realized that I was profiting. I actually made money, even with all the overhead. I was so scared to open this studio because my overhead was a lot more than I thought I could make. But I wanted to try it, and I gave myself a year to see if I was going to make money. And I did make money, and every year since I've I've raised my prices just a little, but it helps me to get a little raise every year. So. Oh, he's gonna clap on you. 3 years ago, Hurricane Irene came through, and I was just 3 years into my studio, so everything was brand new. Lighting, cameras, backdrops. I really put a lot of money into the studio, and Hurricane Irene came through, and we ended up with almost 3 feet of water in the studio. I lost everything. It was very devastating. I didn't even know if I wanted to reopen again because it was $50,000 worth of equipment gone. Didn't have insurance because it wasn't considered a flood zone. So I contemplated, do I want to rebuild and start over? And I did. I ended up doing it, and within a year I was able to replace everything. It was a slow process, but it was just really scary because for 3 months, it was one of my busy seasons also. For 3 months I was completely closed shop and had to send my clients to other photographers, and I was nervous about losing them. But everyone came back, mostly everyone, 90% of them. But it was a good decision on my part to reopen, because I really do love what I do.
I see you.
A lot of my fellow photographers that I meet with from time to time have actually had to close their doors this year. A lot of them are wedding photographers, and I just think there's so much digital out there, and everybody thinks they're a photographer, so they don't feel like they need to pay a professional. I do feel that they notice after the fact that they really should have paid someone. But I think with my niche, newborns and babies, everybody loves a picture of a baby. And I really am creative with capturing, images for the family. When my clients come in for a portrait session, it's not just getting photos. It truly is an experience. We have fun, we laugh. My clients want to come back again and again. So, and I also will never take the same image twice. I have tons and tons of backdrops, props. My favorite images are just clean, black and white, just using light. Those are my favorite images. But a lot of my clients do like the props. Owning my own small business is not what I thought it was going to be. I love the creative side, the photography, the people, the editing. I love all that, but I didn't realize there was so much more to it. The accounting, the bookkeeping, the invoicing, dealing with money and clients. It's just very uncomfortable for me, but it's part of the business and I have no choice but to take it on. Any advice I would give to someone who's trying to open a small business on their own, I say make sure you absolutely love what you do, because there's so many other things that come into it that you aren't going to like. But at least if there's a passion behind it, you will make it work. You can absolutely make it work. It's a lot more work than I thought it was going to be, but I have a great payoff in the end because I really love what I do.
Ginny Russell's success with her small business proves the old adage, do what you love and the money will follow. I've always wondered if I could pick someone out of the crowd on the streets of New York City. Would they stop to tell me their story? Would they share their life experiences, their favorite childhood memories, their goals, their inspirations, or even what they had for breakfast this morning? With a population of 8.5 million people, the stories untold echo throughout the streets. Mitch Albom wrote, "But there's a story behind everything, how a picture got on a wall, how a scar got on your face. Sometimes the stories are simple, and sometimes they are hard and heartbreaking." Inspired by the Vibrant Humans of New York social blog, I was curious to see what kind of stories I'd hear. Here's a glimpse of my favorite ones. With a population of 8.5 million people, the stories untold echo throughout New York City. I took the streets to find out exactly what they are. They say the city never sleeps, and with the countless inhabitants, there are many stories and experiences to be shared. All you have to do is ask.
When I'm asked what my most embarrassing story is, the first thing that comes to mind was when I was about 15, I was shooting a film, and I'm an actor, I was in a bathing suit, and we were shooting a scene where I had my legs up like this. we'd just been in the water for a while, so my bathing suit was nice and damp, and we were in the middle of a take, and I farted. And it like resonated so loudly through the bathing suit, and like I tried to just keep going with the scene and like staring at the person that I was acting with, and they burst out laughing, and then I saw all the crew laughing, and it was an all-male crew, and I was doing a scene with a guy, and I was the only female around, and I was 15, and I just farted, and I was mortified. I turned bright red, and then I was like, "We're going on break now," and I like cut the scene and ran away. That was definitely my most embarrassing moment that I can think of.
I write a lot about human psychology, the way that my mind works. I'm always observing my own mind and trying to understand why it does the things that it does, and then thinking about other people and trying to put them together like a puzzle.
Yeah, I don't really want to do this.
Come on.
Sorry.
All right, I'll tell you Boris's story. One day he was in Norway, right? He was traveling alone in Norway. So we're lawyers now, but we just started. We're first-year lawyers. So you have this great lull, you know, in between taking the bar and starting as a lawyer. So we had 2 months off. We had money in the bank, so we took some trips, right? I traveled alone in Southeast Asia. He traveled alone in Norway for a week, where he did some hiking. And he took off from his hostel one day, right? And he walked, right? And it says he ended up walking a full marathon over the course of the day. What, like 25 miles over what? How long was it?
Probably 12 hours.
12 hours. And what? At one point you got totally lost, right? What happened?
All right, Travis, I'll tell the story. There's no story there, really. It was.
Yeah, but it was the happiest moment of your life.
It was the happiest moment of my life, I guess so. The hostel was at the bottom of a mountain, and the first 2 miles you walk up a mountain, then you spend 14 miles walking across a plateau from the hostel towards the city of Bergen. And on that 14-mile trek, I saw one person over the course of 14 miles. And it was freezing, and I was tired, and the sun was beating down on my face, snot running down my nose. And I just felt totally alone, isolated, discreetly singular. And it made me really happy. As happy as I've been in many years. Something that you don't really get in the city, so.
Drawing is interesting in itself, and I think that drawing people is particularly interesting. It's very challenging. Both technically and just having a live person sit for you. There's sort of a little unspoken communication going on, I suppose. A little bit of a relationship that develops. I usually end up befriending my models. I have one model that she loves working for me because she's like, "Oh, I always look so beautiful." I'm like, "Oh, you are beautiful. You really are." And it's difficult to see yourself the way others perceive you. I guess it's always a revelation.
We met through a friend of his and a friend of mine. He happened to have been a guitar player, and I love to sing. So I ended up joining a couple of his friends, and we ended up singing and playing music together. And we got together, and we got married about a year later. Yeah, we have 4 children. We just had 1 grandchild. And our fondest memories together, I guess having our kids, and we just celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary and took a trip to Alaska, which we will never forget.
The trip to Alaska was cool.
That was the best thing.
And this is pretty good too, having a good time now.
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer in Washington, and I took a hiatus to serve as a Catholic missionary in the Republic of the Marshall Islands in the Pacific Ocean. It was the priests and the nuns who are out there that came from the United States, and they gave their whole lives. I gave 3 years. One of the nuns had been there for 57 years. And frankly, there were times when I was counting the number of days I had been there because it was hard. And I thought, well, how many days has she been here? Multiply that by 19,000 days. How did she do that? What an inspiration. What an incredible lady she was.
My daughter was born on the 16th of July, 1992, which I'm sure you recall was the night of the Democratic Convention where they nominated their candidate, Mr. William Jefferson Clinton. And as he spoke, my wife was in labor. And my father's name was Harry. So as a Jewish man, we would name our child after an ancestor. We didn't know whether it was a girl or a boy. But if it was a boy, it was going to be Harry. And if it was a girl, it was going to be Hope. So Mr. Clinton continued with his speech, and he started off by saying, at this moment in America, a child is being born. And they go, oh my God, is he here? And he speaks about that child as a girl and talking about her destiny and getting emotional. And I'm just blown away what he's saying. And he goes on and on and on about this child, this little girl being born. And he ends it by saying, and now I end it all in a place where it first began, in a place called Hope. And that was the name of my daughter. That's the story.
For Carpe Diem, I'm Bianca Morales. Thanks for watching. Today's show is all about inspiration and human drive. We believe that everyday life experiences shape us and mold us into the people we'll be tomorrow. Neil Gaiman wrote, "Stories you read when you're the right age never quite leave you. You may forget who wrote them or what the story was called. Sometimes you forget precisely what happened, but if a story touches you, it will stay with you forever, haunting the places in your mind that you rarely visit." Thank you for tuning in today. We hope that these stories have inspired you in some way, whether you plan on starting a business or taking a photography class, whether you plan on helping students fall in love with science or adopting an animal. We hope that someday you'll share your story too. For more information on Carpe Diem, give us a call at 973-655-5158 or shoot us an email at carpediem@mail.montclair.edu. I'm Bianca Morales. Thanks for watching.